Every morning is a doorway, a quiet invitation from life saying, you can begin again. But let's be honest, for most of us, the day doesn't start with peace, it begins in a rush. Emails, notifications, traffic, mental clutter. We wake up and the noise begins before we've even taken our first breath consciously. Have you ever noticed how that first hour shapes your entire day? It's like the ink that seeps into the paper once it spreads, it's hard to take back. One careless scroll on your phone, one anxious thought about the day ahead, and suddenly, your morning no longer belongs to you. But what if it could be different? What if your morning became your sanctuary? Not just a time to brush your teeth and chase the clock, but a sacred space to return to yourself calm, clear, and deeply rooted. Imagine waking up with a steady breath, not a sigh. With purpose, not pressure. Imagine facing the chaos of the world with a still center inside you like a mountain unmoved by passing clouds. The truth is, this isn't a fantasy. It's a choice. And it begins with a few simple habits-gentle shifts you can bring into your morning. These aren't trends or hacks. They're rooted in Buddhist wisdom timeless teachings that have helped seekers for centuries find peace in the heart of everyday life. In this video, we'll walk together through 10 powerful morning habits. They're practical, grounding, and surprisingly transformative. You don't need to be a monk or live in the mountains. You just need a few quiet moments and a willingness to return to yourself. Let this be the morning everything changes. Let this be the moment you reclaim your life, starting with how you wake up. 1. Start your morning with gentle movement. Now that you've made space to reclaim your morning, the next question is, what's the first thing you give your body and mind? Before you open your inbox, or even your eyes fully, try this. Move not with force, but with grace. Gentle movement, like slow stretches or a few minutes of yoga, is not just about waking up your muscles. It's about reminding yourself that your body is alive and sacred. In Zen tradition, monks rise with the sun not to rush, but to realign. Each stretch, each breath, is a silent message. I'm here, I'm alive, and I honor this body that carries me. It's easy to forget how much emotion is stored in our body: tension in the shoulders, fatigue in the spine, restlessness in the legs. When we move with intention, we release not just physical stiffness, but the emotional fog that clings from the day before. This kind of movement is not a workout. It's a ritual. It's your way of saying, before the world demands from me, I return to myself. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement can awaken your breath, improve circulation, and bring clarity to the foggy spaces of the mind. It's like opening a window and letting fresh air into a dusty room. Start small. A shoulder roll while breathing deeply. A standing twist while greeting the morning light. A few mindful steps barefoot on the floor. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to show up with care. Because in a world that rushes us to go faster, choosing to move slowly, consciously, is an act of quiet rebellion and deep self-respect. And once you've returned to your breath, your spine, your quiet strength, you're ready for the next shift that brings even deeper clarity to your day. 2. Create a prioritized to-do list. Have you ever walked through your day feeling like you're being pulled in 10 directions at once? Like every task is shouting your name, but none of them are truly meaningful? In Buddhist philosophy, clarity is a form of compassion. When the mind is scattered, we suffer not because there's too much to do, but because we don't know what truly matters. That's why creating a prioritized to-do list isn't just a productivity trick, it's a mindfulness practice. Start your morning by asking, what truly needs my presence today? Not just what is urgent, but what is essential to your growth, to your values, to the kind of person you want to become. Write down 3 to 5 key tasks. Not 10, not 20. Limit creates focus. And focus is power. This is not about being busy. It's about being intentional. When you choose your priorities with awareness, you give your energy to what aligns with your path, not what simply yells the loudest. It's like walking through a forest trail instead of running in circles, calmer, clearer, and more connected. There is also a hidden wisdom in writing things down. The act itself creates space between thought and action, between chaos and calm. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The way you walk through your day is the way you walk through your life." By committing your intentions to paper, you no longer carry them all in your head. You lighten the load. You breathe more easily. A prioritized to-do list is a small act, but it's sacred. It's your way of bowing to the present moment and saying, "I choose to live with direction, not distraction." So, before the world demands your attention, pause, listen inward, write what matters, and walk gently into your day with the quiet strength of someone who knows where they're going. 3. Avoid morning distractions. The moment you open your eyes, the world starts knocking. A notification, a news alert, a flood of voices you didn't ask for. And just like that, your mind is no longer your own. Before you've even touched the floor with your feet, your attention has already been pulled outward. But in the stillness of early morning, there's a doorway to something deeper. And once you let the noise in, that doorway quietly closes. In Zen practice, the morning is sacred. It is the softest part of the day when the mind is still tender, not yet hardened by the demands of life. That's why what you do in the first 30 minutes after waking matters more than you think. Instead of reaching for your phone, reach inward. Instead of scrolling, sit in silence. Let your breath arrive fully before the outside world asks anything of you. Even just 5 minutes of inner quiet can create a ripple of peace that lasts all day. It's like placing a calm stone in the center of a still pond. Its presence shapes everything that follows. Ask yourself gently, do I want to start my day by reacting or by remembering who I am? The world will still be there when you're ready. But your inner space, that gentle, clear sky of the mind, is something you must choose to protect. So begin softly, with a few moments of stillness, and let your first conversation of the day be not with a screen, but with your own soul. You might be surprised by what comes next, a simple habit that can soothe even your most exhausting days. 4. Prioritize the 3 most important tasks of the day. You might be surprised by what comes next, a simple habit that can bring order to even the most chaotic mind. Because once you've protected your inner space from distractions, the next step is to guide that space with purpose. In Buddhist teaching, clarity is a form of compassion not just toward others, but toward yourself. When your mind is scattered, your energy leaks. You rush, react, multitask, but accomplish very little of what truly matters. And often, it's not the number of tasks that exhausts you, it's the weight of carrying them all at once, without direction. That's why each morning, take a breath and gently ask yourself, what are the 3 things that, if I do them today, will make me feel whole? Not just urgent things, but meaningful ones. Tasks that align with your values, your growth, and your sense of contribution. Limit yourself to 3. This limit is not a restriction, it's a kindness. It gives you focus. It frees you from chasing shadows. Write them down, just 3. And when you do, you give shape to your day, like placing stones to form a quiet path through the woods. As you move through your day with this list in hand, you become less reactive and more intentional. You know what matters. You act from center, not from stress. And when evening comes, you can look back not with guilt, but with gentle satisfaction. I showed up for what matters. So instead of starting your day with a flood of shoulds, start it with 3 sacred intentions. And what comes next will invite you to protect those intentions with even greater mindfulness. 5. Focus on your response. You've chosen your top 3 intentions for the day. Now the question is, how will you carry them through the storms? Because no matter how peaceful your morning is, life has its own plans. There will be delays, interruptions, unexpected words, shifting moods. But what happens outside is never fully in your control. What happens inside always is. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just about sitting in stillness. It's about how you show up when things don't go your way. The way you respond to a harsh comment, a delay, a moment of frustration shapes the tone of your entire day. React, and you might spiral into stress. Pause, and you reclaim your power. Before you answer the email, before you raise your voice, before you let that irritation speak for you, breathe. This breath is your gatekeeper. It gives you one sacred second to return to awareness and choose not just what to do, but who to be in that moment. Ask yourself, is this response coming from peace or from pain? The beauty is, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. When you begin to notice your reactions, you begin to see how often they are simply echoes of habit, not truth. And in that noticing, something softens, something shifts. You remember, I am not my anger, I am not my fear. I am the one who observes and chooses differently. So today, don't try to control everything. Just bring gentle attention to how you respond. It may seem small, but it's the beginning of real freedom. And once you learn to respond with presence, the next step is to carry that presence into something even deeper. 6. Practice daily gratitude. Once you've learned to pause and respond instead of react, you create space. And in that space, something beautiful can grow. Gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a nice feeling, it's a perspective. It's the choice to look at life through a softer lens, to focus not on what's missing, but on what's already here. And in Buddhist wisdom, this shift in perception is a doorway to contentment. Every morning, take a moment, not to list everything you wish you had, but to see clearly what's already blessing your life. A roof, a body that breathes, a warm drink, a moment of stillness. These are not small things. They are the threads that hold you quietly together. Gratitude isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers, "This is enough. I am enough. Right now, as it is." When you practice gratitude daily, your mind becomes less hungry, less frantic. You stop grasping for more and start noticing the beauty of the ordinary. It's like lighting a small lamp in a dark room, not to chase the shadows away, but to remember that light was always there. You can write down 3 things you're grateful for, or simply whisper them silently as you breathe. What matters is not the method, but the mindfulness behind it. And over time, this practice changes your relationship with life. It softens the edges of your ambition. It brings joy to simplicity. And it reminds you again and again that you already carry more than you think. So tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, ask gently, what is already here, quietly offering me peace? And from that quiet place of thanks, the next habit becomes not just easier, but inevitable. 7. Embrace discomfort like cold showers. Gratitude softens the heart. But life, as you know, will still test the strength behind that softness. There are moments when comfort won't be an option. When the water is cold, when the conversation is hard, when the fear rises before the courage has time to speak. And that's why the practice of leaning into discomfort is so vital. In Zen, it's not about avoiding pain, it's about learning to sit with it, breathe through it, and meet it without resistance. Try starting your morning with something small but uncomfortable. A cold shower, a few extra seconds in stillness, an intentional step outside your comfort zone. It's not about punishing the body, it's about training the mind. You are teaching yourself, I don't run from what is difficult, I meet it with presence. Because discomfort isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It shows you where your edges are. It invites you to witness the stories you tell yourself when things don't go your way. And the more you meet it, the less power it holds. You begin to realize this isn't unbearable, it's just unfamiliar. And in that shift, fear gives way to calm. Discomfort, when embraced with mindfulness, becomes a doorway. Not to pain, but to power. Not to suffering, but to strength. So tomorrow morning, before the day overwhelms you, try something that wakes your courage. And let that courage ripple through every decision that follows. The next practice, it will help you channel that courage into clarity. 8. Visualize success in the morning. Once you've trained your mind to stay present in discomfort, you've already begun to change your relationship with fear. And from that new ground of courage, you now have the power to create and shape your inner world before the outer world interferes. This is where visualization becomes more than just a motivational technique. It becomes a form of inner planting, a way to grow the future in the soil of your present awareness. In Buddhist meditation, practitioners often visualize qualities like compassion, wisdom, or clarity not to escape life, but to become more available to it. You can do the same. Each morning, close your eyes for a few moments and ask, what does it look like when I move through today with presence, purpose, and success? See it clearly. Maybe it's you giving a confident presentation, or speaking gently during a tense conversation. Maybe it's simply seeing yourself at peace while drinking your morning tea. What matters is that it's real to your inner eye. The brain doesn't know the difference between vividly imagined and truly lived. And that's why this practice works. You are training your mind to expect ease, to lean towards success, to believe that the life you seek is already taking shape. When you see yourself winning from within, your outer actions naturally begin to follow. Not because you're forcing anything, but because your subconscious has already walked the path. Like laying stepping stones in your mind before your feet take a single step. So tomorrow, after you've faced the cold, after you've quieted the noise, close your eyes and walk through the version of your day you want to live. And from there, you'll be ready to receive something even more powerful: inspiration. 9. See challenges as opportunities. After you've planted a vision of success in your mind, life will begin quietly or abruptly to test your readiness. The road won't always be smooth. There will be detours, delays, dead ends. But in Zen, we don't label these moments as mistakes. We see them as mirrors. Because often, what you fear the most is where the Dharma hides. A challenge isn't life being unfair. It's life asking you, are you ready to grow now? Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's teaching you patience, or how to let go, or how to trust yourself a little more. Or maybe it's teaching you that what breaks your rhythm might just be saving your path. In Zen, every moment is a Dharma talk if you're quiet enough to listen. The hardest moments, they're often the most sacred, just hidden under the disguise of discomfort. When you start to see the lesson inside the obstacle, fear begins to soften, and something ancient in you begins to awaken. You stop seeing yourself as the victim of life's chaos. You begin to walk as the student of its wisdom. So the next time life feels heavy or unfair, pause. And instead of tightening your grip, bow inward, because within every challenge, there's a quiet invitation not to suffer, but to become. 10. Read or listen to something inspirational. When life feels like a challenge, and you've learned to greet it with curiosity instead of fear, you become more open, more ready to receive. And what better time to receive something nourishing than in the quiet stillness of your morning? This is where inspiration becomes medicine. In Zen, we say the mind is like a field. Whatever you plant in the morning, you will harvest all day. So instead of feeding your mind with noise, comparison, or chaos, feed it with something that uplifts. A single story of perseverance, a line of wisdom, a voice that reminds you of who you are beneath the layers of daily demands. Whether it's reading a passage from a book, listening to a short podcast, or hearing the quiet wisdom of a teacher, this is not just content, it's food for your inner life. Because what you consume first thing in the morning doesn't just shape your thoughts. It shapes your attitude, your energy, your decisions. Even just 5 minutes of meaningful input can create a shift so subtle, yet so lasting. You start your day remembering that you are not alone, that others have walked through darkness and found light, and that you too are capable of doing the same. So instead of reaching for the loudest voice, reach for the most nourishing one. Choose inspiration over information, depth over distraction. Because the words you welcome in the morning often become the voice you speak to yourself with all day. And from that voice clear, kind, rooted, comes the strength to take one more step. And what if that next step was simply a shift in how you see your own life? 11. Sit in silent meditation for 5-10 minutes. After feeding your mind with something inspirational, you are now ready to go even deeper. Not by adding more, but by subtracting everything. Because sometimes the most powerful way to begin your day is not to do anything, but simply to be. This is the heart of Zen practice. A few minutes of silent meditation where nothing needs to be achieved and nothing needs to be fixed. Just sit, back straight, eyes soft, breath natural, and allow everything to settle just as it is. Thoughts may come, let them pass. Emotions may rise, greet them gently. Then let them go. Like clouds drifting across the sky, you do not need to chase or hold anything. This stillness is not a task. It is a return to the present, to your breath, to the quiet awareness beneath all the noise. In just 5-10 minutes, you offer yourself the greatest gift, the permission to begin from your center. Silent meditation calms the nervous system. It eases anxiety, clears mental fog, and reconnects you with the one place that never changes, your inner stillness. In a world that constantly asks you to move, to speak, to prove, this moment of quiet is sacred. It's the eye of the storm, the gentle pause before the day begins to ask things of you. And from that pause, you rise not with urgency but with clarity, not with rush but with presence. Because when you begin from silence, you carry that silence with you into your work, your conversations, your decisions. And what if that silence is the very place where your true wisdom begins to speak? And once silence has anchored you in presence, the next practice will invite you to give your inner voice a place to be heard. And what unfolds there might surprise you. 12. Mindful journaling, 5-10 minutes each morning. After sitting in silence and letting the breath guide you home, there comes a moment when your inner voice begins to stir. Not loud, not urgent, just present. This is the voice you meet on paper, not to capture it, but to release it. Because as the Zen saying goes, we do not write to remember, we write to let go. Each morning, take 5-10 quiet minutes to write freely. No editing, no judgment, just honesty. You might begin with simple prompts like, today I feel. One thing I'm grateful for is, something I want to practice today is, I choose to let go of. Let whatever comes, come. Let whatever needs to be felt, be felt. In Buddhist teaching, one of the deepest forms of insight is non-judgmental observation. And mindful journaling is exactly that observation, but on paper, is a way to witness your inner world as it is, without trying to fix or change anything. The goal is not to sound wise, but to be real. You may write something raw, or something tender, or something you didn't even know you were carrying. And in that act of writing, you begin to see yourself not as a tangle of thoughts, but as the one aware of them. This practice helps you clear emotional buildup, anxiety, tension, even subtle resistance. It gives you clarity about what truly matters today. It grounds your values. And it reminds you, I have a choice in how I meet this day. Journaling also strengthens gratitude, because when you write it down, you don't just feel thankful, you name it. And what you name, you begin to embody. Over time, this simple habit becomes a sacred ritual, a way to check in with yourself before you check in with the world, a moment of honesty before the noise begins, because in a world full of voices, sometimes the one you need to hear most is your own. So let the page be your mirror, let the ink be your breath, and let the quiet between words be the place where presence becomes peace. These 12 habits may seem simple, but practiced consistently, they have the quiet power to transform your mornings, and from there, your entire life. Rooted in timeless Buddhist wisdom, they are not rules to follow, but invitations to return to clarity, to presence, to your own quiet strength. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just begin, even with one small shift tomorrow morning, because the way you start your day is often the way you live your life. If this video has brought you even a moment of peace, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. Not just for the algorithm, but because there may be someone else out there, just like you, who needs a little light to begin again. And if this is the kind of space you want, more of gentle, mindful, grounded, then this channel is here for you. Every video is a step, and every step is a return. Thank you for walking this path with me.